Here it is. Here it is. It's coming. It's coming. Yes. Guys, we're a little late today, but that's because I don't really get to go anywhere. Here we go. We're live. What's up, everybody? I hope everyone is doing okay in the quarantine situation we all find ourselves in. Man, sorry I'm a little late today. I was getting a couple things together and I was helping out my wife with a few things. I mentioned that we might be a little late because of that, and we are. I'm hoping you guys don't mind. I know that in most of our cases, we got a little more time than we typically do. And I need a little bit of water. I hope you're staying safe. I hope you are well. I hope... I hope you're just hanging in there. This is nuts. This is crazy. But we're taking precautions and hopefully this pays off. And when I say pays off, what I mean by that is hopefully we are able to get back to a somewhat sense of normalcy by the end of the month. Will that happen? I don't know. I have no idea if that'll happen or not. But I guess we'll see. I mean, it's tough to project anything right now because we don't have the tests available to really find out how extensive this pandemic is. Why aren't the tests available, Ron? Well, because the Trump administration insisted that the CDC does their own thing instead of following the international community. And by the way, that was the same CDC that they gutted the funding for. That's why we don't have the testing available. That you throw in our for-profit healthcare system, which, you know, my buddy Eric pointed this out, and this is just the most basic of observational things. When you have a for-profit entity, not only are they completely morally bankrupt when it comes to people's health, which is why we have, why we have the worst healthcare system in the industrialized world, but also it's not ready to handle any type of emergency because you're not in the business of health. You're not in the business of helping people. You're in the business of making profit. So when a pandemic happens, you're just not going to be equipped for it or ready for it in any way whatsoever. And that's what we're dealing with. But Christina wanted to share this. They talked about there was one decent moment in the debate where, well, there was more than one decent moment, I'd say. There were a couple decent moments. There were definitely a couple moments where I wanted more. You know, you probably heard me talk about the debate over on the Political Vigilante last night. I don't really want to rehash the whole thing, but, you know, my nuts and bolts summary, there were some good moments. There were some not good moments. One of the good moments that Christina shared today was where Bernie was really cornering Joe Biden on Social Security, which he was. He was cornering Joe Biden for the cuts to Social Security that Joe Biden called for, and Joe Biden denied it. Throughout the entire debate, Joe Biden just lied through his teeth about his history, about his records, about everything, about where he stands politically. He started reciting a climate plan that should have been instituted in the 90s, as if that was going to be enough. And Bernie did rightfully say, Joe, that's not enough. It's not 1986 anymore, Joe. That's not enough. But anyway, so here's some video from that. Here's some video backing that up. This is from my editor, Joe. Check out this. Boom. So here's a little bit of footage last night, and here's the truth.
Lord, Bernie, you're running out saying I'm opposed to Social Security, that PolitiFact says is a flat lie, and that the Washington Post said is a flat lie.
Oh, well, let me ask you a question, Joe.
Yeah.
You're right here with me.
Yeah.
Have you been on the floor of the Senate? You were in the Senate for a few years.
Yeah.
Time and time again, talking about the necessity with pride about cutting Social Security, cutting Medicare, cutting veterans programs.
No.
You never said that.
No.
Whatever happened to that old conservative discipline about paying for what you spend? I'm up for re-election this year, and I'm going to remind everybody what I did at home, which is going to cost me politically. When I argued that we should freeze federal spending, I meant Social Security as well. I meant Medicare and Medicaid. I meant veterans benefits. I meant every single solitary thing in the government. And I not only tried it once, I tried it twice, I tried it a third time, and I tried it a fourth time.
Joe, let me repeat it again. I want you just to be straight with the American people. I am saying that you have been on the floor of the Senate time and time again talking about the need to cut Social Security, Medicare, and veterans programs. Is that true, or is that
No,
not
it's
true?
not true.
I introduced the balanced budget amendment in 1984. It got nowhere. I'm one of those Democrats who voted for the constitutional amendment to balance the budget. I have introduced on four occasions, entire plans to balance the budget, knowing I'm not president and I'm not the leader, but for illustrative purposes. I tried with Senator Grassley back in the 80s to freeze all government spending, including Social Security.
This guy's not a
including
Republican,
everything.
by the way.
One more time. Were you on the floor time and time again, for whatever reason, talking about the need to cut Social Security and Medicare and veterans programs?
No, I did not talk about the need to cut any of those programs.
I meant Social Security as well. I meant Medicare and Medicaid. I meant veterans benefits. I meant every single solitary thing, including everything.
Joe Biden. Just get grits through his teeth and lie. And by the way, before we get off the debate topic, if you guys watched the debate last night, which if you did, all power to you. If you didn't, I hope you enjoyed my live tweeting, and I don't blame you for not watching the damn thing. But right after that, CNN threw a gotcha question at Bernie, trying to pin him on Social Security. And all they said was that you called for what's the right word for it? Like you called for kind of tweaking the way it's funded to make sure we're okay, which, by the way, that's something that Social Security calls for all the time. So Social Security is a program, and every now and again, you need to just kind of check in and make sure we're on path to being able to pay for it. And if we're not, well, okay, you have to like push some more funds in its direction. That's called overseeing a program. And that's what Social Security calls for. That's what the Social Security Administration calls for. That's what Bernie Sanders has called for over the years. That's not calling for a cut to Social Security like Joe Biden is. It's quite the opposite. So CNN had this incredibly elementary, lame gotcha attempt at Bernie Sanders right when Bernie Sanders had Joe Biden on the ropes about Social Security. Do you think that was a coincidence? Do you think that happened to be the next question that they were going to ask? There's no way that was planned, because Bernie Sanders wasn't just debating Joe Biden. Bernie Sanders was also debating the corporate media, which he has been since day one. So no, this is a concentrated effort. The Joe Mentum was completely fabricated. Every establishment lackey just got in line to make it seem like he had this momentum. It was all fake. It was all over amplified by the media, and it tried to scare people going to the polls. And now we don't even know what's going to happen with the primary because we're in the middle of a pandemic. Who knows what's going to happen? They might just straight up hand it to Joe Biden, who will go on and get crushed by Donald Trump. So it was a hard thing to watch. And the other thing that's very hard is watching what our government is doing right now. Because, my friends, I'm here to tell you, you do not have a government that works for you, the people. You have a government that works actively against you, the people. In fact, what's one of their priorities right now? They're trying to push through a spying bill. Well, we're dealing with a pandemic. They're trying to push through a spying bill. But before we get to that, before we get there, Mitt Romney said some things hinting that he might favor a UBI. So here's the big question. Does Mitt Romney favor a UBI? The short answer is no. The longer answer is not exactly. But let's see what he said this morning, because this is all along the blogosphere. People are talking about this a lot, and it's worth talking about, because the way I see it, we do need an emergency UBI. We definitely need an emergency UBI. Are we going to get it? I wouldn't hold your breath for it. If you're going to hold your breath, do it for 10 seconds and make sure you're okay, because that's one of the ways you can kind of it's not an exact test for the coronavirus, obviously, but it's something you can do to kind of just check in. Hold your breath for 10 seconds. If you feel pain, you might be in trouble. If you feel fine, then that's a good thing. Take your temperature. If you don't have a temperature, that's great. If you do, well, you better stay home. Anyway, so here's what Mitt Romney's saying. Mitt Romney proposes giving $1,000 to every American adult as coronavirus response measure. So he's not necessarily, well, we're going to read on here. He's not necessarily for UBI. He's for kind of an emergency $1,000 that we may need to continue. So it's like, kind of, not really, sort of, but let's read on. Republican Senator Mitt Romney of Utah on Monday outlined a list of proposals to address the coronavirus outbreak, including giving all American adults $1,000 in response to fallout from the spread of the disease. Romney's office framed the proposals as a way to ensure economic stability for working Americans. Every American adult should immediately receive $1,000 to help ensure families and workers can meet their short-term obligations and increase spending in the economy. Congress took similar action during the 2001 and 2008 recessions, blah, 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 blah. And then I think he said, here, I think he also said that, okay, so here you go. I would start with $1,000 check for every American sent out as quickly as possible. This is from Greg Mankiw, or Mankiw, however you say it, former top economic advisor to George W. Bush, who advised Mitt Romney. That would work to be about 1.7% of GDP, and then we might have to do it again in a month. So it's not exactly like UBI, like, oh, you're going to get $1,000 a month, but it's like you're going to get $1,000. We might need to repeat it in a month. We'll see. So kind of just this temporary emergency funds, basically. Former President Barack advisor Jason Furman, who's advocating the proposal, estimated it would cost $350 billion. How much did they give the banks, though? How much did they just give the banks? It's 1.5 trillion, right? It's 1.5 trillion, enough to knock out student loan debt. That's what they just gave the banks. People are suffering. People can't go to work. There's a shortage of food. There's a shortage of toilet paper. And they're saying, we're entertaining the idea of maybe giving you $1,000. The banks come along and say, hey, we don't have as much money as we'd like to have. And the government says, how much do you need, boo? How much do you need? Don't worry, plebs. We might give you $1,000. And then in a month, we might even do it again. Maybe. We'll see. Maybe. But the banks need something. Oh, we got you. We got you. No problem. When I was my first job out of college, I worked at a company, and it was obvious the company was going under. Like it was not looking good. And every time, like, the CEO or whatever he was, president of the company, whatever his actual title was, I don't even remember, but whenever he spoke, it was painfully obvious that it was like, you'd listen to him and you're like, this dude should not be running a company. This dude is completely clocked out. And how much longer are we going to be doing this, really? And that's the same way I feel. Do you guys hear that siren? That's pretty loud. I don't know if you could hear it. You might be able to hear it. That's the same way I feel whenever Donald Trump talks about the coronavirus. Like, if you listen to him talk, like you hear him and you're just like, how long? Like, this guy, yeah, he has no clue what we need to do. We do not have this handled at all. How much longer are we going to be doing this thing? Like, this thing being the country, which, by the way, I think it's safe to say the United States, we're not really a country. We're just a corporation with state lines. That's all we are at this point. I mean, calling us a country is generous. I mean, if anyone watched Trump speak, the only takeaway you should have is like, wow, we're on our own. Look around you in your community and hope that people are helping each other out. Which, by the way, in my community, Pasadena, California, our mayor is on vacation. He's in Africa right now. I think it's Africa, at least, in our sister city. And he's like, don't worry, I'm paying attention. Oh, you guys could hear the siren. All right, I'm seeing in the chat some of you guys could hear the siren. So our guy's on vacation. The mayor where I live, that's what they're doing. What are the mayors doing in your town? This is a pandemic. This is a pandemic. People can't go to work. People are struggling. Oh, and Mitt Romney entertains the idea, which, by the way, Tulsi Gabbard has come out in favor of UBI. Andrew Yang, obviously, in favor of UBI. Now, all of a sudden, Mitt Romney does it. And it's not actual UBI. It's not like, oh, you're going to have basic income for a certain amount of time. Even it's like, oh, we're going to give you $1,000 and we may repeat it again next month. Maybe. And again, these are all maybes. It's not guaranteed. You know what's guaranteed? The $1.5 trillion we just gave the banks. That's fine. That's a sunk cost. But this $350 billion total we're entertaining, giving you, the people, a little bit of relief. I don't know. Maybe we'll do that. Maybe. Because it's a corporation. This is just one big corporation, which Mitt Romney would tell you, well, those are people. Those are people. So what is your government doing to try to help you? Brings about this next question. What is your government doing to try to help you? Well, here's something that some of the free press organizations, including Free Press and Fight for the Future, had to say on Twitter earlier today. This is what your government's working on. This is what they're going to vote on in a couple hours. You ready for this? This is what they're doing. This is the spy bill they're trying to push through while everyone is distracted by a pandemic. This is what they're up to. Check this out. The Senate is trying to reauthorize abusive government spying power while we're all distracted with COVID. That's what your government's working on for you. They're trying to reauthorize spying powers via the Patriot Act in a bipartisan measure, which we're going to read more into what this bipartisan measure is. That's what they're working on right now. Are you scared? Are you scared because you can't go to work? Are you running out of toilet paper? Are you concerned for your friends and loved ones who maybe have compromised immune systems or are older, so they're really susceptible and vulnerable right now? Are you concerned about them? Are you really getting tired of what you're following on Netflix? Did you invest in a series on HBO and then slowly started to become disappointed by it? By the way, getting a little personal here. I started a series on HBO and I was really into it at first. And then it took the easy way out. I felt like, and now I can't. Like I'm kind of like, I think I want to bail. My wife wants to see it through. She's like, I'm gonna finish it. I might have to finish it on my own. I was like, yeah, you might. I think I'm bailing. It's called Outsider. It's just me. It's just my take on it. I'm not saying don't watch the thing. I'm just saying I invested in it, and I've since been disappointed. Stephen King, and for those of you that saw my interview with Kevin Ronka, we talked about this. Stephen King, I feel like one of the common criticisms of him that I agree with is, he sets up a really good story, but then the ending kind of, okay, that's the route he took. And this is no different for me, in my opinion. Anyway, so what are they doing exactly? So Free Press goes on to say, call 202-919-7073 to be connected to your senator. Tell them to vote no and stop Trump spying. Well, so here's what's going on exactly in this bill. We're going to go ahead and take a look at this. So this bill, in short, reauthorizes a lot of spying powers. But why is it bipartisan, you ask? Well, we're going to find out why. What's in H.R. 6172, the House's compromise FISA reform bill? So the House of Representatives today is a bipartisan bill that would reauthorize certain intelligence-related authorities that are set to expire on March 15th. So in short, what it does, it reauthorizes parts of the Patriot Act, parts of endless surveillance, which, by the way, has done nothing. I'll repeat that again for the folks in the back. Has done nothing to keep us safer as a society. It's done absolutely, positively nothing. And digital rights activists remind people of that every time this comes to the surface. Hey, by the way, this isn't keeping us safer. This isn't making us a safer society. I get it. At times, you need to sacrifice a little bit in the name of safety. There's a time and place for that, but this is not it. This is an overreach. This is Orwellian. This is dangerous. The Patriot Act should have never happened. You know who voted against the Patriot Act? The people who actually took the time to read the bill, like Dennis Kucinich. He read it and was like, no, this ain't happening. And in 2008, he was the only person on that debate stage who had the courage to vote against it, and they got him off of it as quickly as they could. And they rinse and repeat that every election cycle. So here's the compromise bill was worked out between House leadership as well as House Judiciary and House Intelligence Committees. Okay, so let's talk about how this is a compromise, because the New York Times, by the way, they're all celebrating this bill. They're saying that it's a compromise that's going to keep these things in check. Well, is it really? Okay, so the bill would extend 3 expiring tools, like the FBI's ability to get FISA court orders for business records deemed relevant to a national security investigation, while ending legal authority for an expensive, dysfunctional, and defunct NSA system that had allowed counterterrorism analysts to swiftly access logs of Americans' phone call. The bill would also expand when FISA judges, who normally only hear from the blah, 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 should appoint an outsider to critique the government's position. Under the bill, the FISA court would also be directed to consider appointing a government critic. An application presents exceptional concerns about protecting the First Amendment rights of the surveillance subject. The bill would not make a change that many civil liberties. Here's an important part. The bill would not make a change that many civil liberties and privacy advocacy groups have advocated, letting defense lawyers read FISA applications if their clients are prosecuted on the basis of evidence derived from such wiretaps or searches, as defense lawyers are permitted to do in ordinary criminal cases. But it would also expand criminal penalties issues surrounding misuse of FISA, rising from 5 to 8 years in prison for engaging in electronic surveillance without following procedures. The bill would also the disclosure of an existence of an application or classified information contained in it. And it would also make clear that the government cannot use business records in order to collect information. And it requires a search warrant. Okay. So here's a few interesting pieces, though. Here, so check this out. Use of information in trials, hearings, and other precision. This section amends 501H of FISA to clarify that information obtained or derived from the production of tangible things pursuant to Section 501 investigation shall be deemed to be information acquired from an electronic surveillance, blah, blah, blah. This is the case unless, this is the important part, this is the case unless a court or U.S. authority finds that providing notice to an aggrieved person would harm the national security of the U.S. Man! How broad is that? An aggrieved person is defined as the target of an investigation, where the activities or communications of the target are described in the tangible things the government intends to use or disclose in any trial, hearing, or other proceeding. In other words, here's the big compromise, folks. Here's what's going on. They're expanding all the spying powers pursuant to the Patriot Act. Or not, renewing, excuse me. They're renewing all the spying powers pursuant to the Patriot Act. That's what they're doing. Here's the compromise part. You have to ask permission for a couple things. And all you have to say is, oh, well, this is an aggravated person. This is a aggrieved person. Are you sure? Yeah, we're sure. Okay. Oh, and if you misuse this, you might go to jail for 5 to 8 years. But who decides whether you misuse something or not? Your peers. Your peers. So basically, this is renewing a lot of parts of the Patriot Act. This is basically a renewal of the Patriot Act that was set to expire. But there's a couple little things where you have to ask permission. And all you have to say is, no, this is a person of interest. Are you sure? Yeah, we're sure. Need to provide evidence of that? No, we're really sure. We're really sure. So once again, you see bipartisanship. The Republicans have a terrible idea. The Democrats are going to help them sell it by saying we compromise on this baby to protect you, the person. How did you protect us? Well, if they want to just go through your records, if they want to get business logs, if they want to get phone records, if they want to just basically intrude on your privacy, they just have to tell us that you're an aggravated person and you're a person of interest, and they're really sure about that. And they're going to ask for permission first before they totally invade your privacy. And if they don't ask permission, they might get in trouble. They might, hey, you didn't ask permission. Well, it was really important. Are you sure it was really important? Yeah, okay, you're not in trouble. That's what this bill is. That's what this bill is. And that's what your Senate's working on right now. They're voting on that today. There's a medical pandemic happening. That is what their priority is. That's what they're doing today. Here's what Fight for the Future has to say about it. Call 202. It's pretty much the same thing Free Press said. Call 202-919-7073. Tell your senator. Oh, wait, sorry. Let me have you see it here. To vote no on cloture for the Patriot Act. This will allow members of Congress to actually talk about all the ways this dangerous law has been abused to spy on Americans. Let's put an end to invasive government surveillance. So tell your senators to vote no. We'll see. This probably has a good chance at passing the Senate. This likely has a very good chance at passing the Senate. And that's what they're working on today. In the middle of a pandemic. Hey, guys, Mitt Romney says you might get $1,000. He's entertaining the idea that maybe we'll give you $1,000. Meanwhile, the Senate's also voting to expand, to renew spying powers for the Patriot Act. They're going to do that. But you have to ask permission a little more strictly now. They have to get a little more permission from their peers. They'll for sure get it. Wow. Does any of this sound like a government working for the people at all? This is a government working actively against the people. That's exactly what this is. During a pandemic, they're doing this. During a pandemic, they want to make sure that there's endless surveillance on you. How is this making us safer? Is this going to help during the pandemic? Unreal. Like it's just so... And you're not going to hear anything about this on CNN or MSNBC or Fox News. You're not going to hear anything about this. They're going to vote on this. It'll probably pass the Senate. Probably get a signature from Donald Trump. We'll see. I mean, act now. Here. Do what you can. Call the number. I mean, hey, a lot of us are home right now. If we all call, maybe that'll do something. 202-919-7073. And by the way, calling is always still, even in our digital day and age, calling is the most effective way because they have to notate it. They have to notate it when you call. So calling is still the most effective way to make your voice be heard on policy towards your elected official. So there you go. That number again, 202-919-7073. But that's what the Senate's working on. During a pandemic. Boy. Do you feel like abandoning electoral politics completely yet? Or are you just... Man. I mean, you got to be kidding me. You really do. You know what? Joe sent this to me today because he's like, you know what? I feel like with everything that's going on in the world, we need this. And Joe's right. We do need this. We need a little bit of relief in this crazy situation. So Joe provided it. You guys know that I love bats. I'm a big bat guy. I hope the bats are okay. Are bats actually? I know some animals can carry the coronavirus. Are bats? I don't know. I'm not as well read on the animal side of it as I should be. I mean, I did get a little worried. I'm like, oh, if I got it, could I potentially give it to my cat or vice versa? I'm pretty sure that's not the case. I should know stuff like that. But I'm pretty sure, I think it's like animals can pass it to other animals, but animals can't pass it to humans. Humans can't pass it to animals. Anyway, but here, Joe shares this, and this is important, guys. Check this out. Here's a bat eating a banana. Look, isn't this adorable? Come on. Don't you just look at this. How using this thing. This is the most adorable thing ever. I don't want to say that too loud. Lucy might get a little upset. Oh my God, dude. Come on. Oh, you can't really have bats as pets. It's very difficult, nearly impossible to do. And especially, I live in a small apartment in Southern California. But oh my God. Come on. For those of you that are like, Ron, this isn't new. Are you not smiling right now? Are you not having a much needed smile where you're like, we're stuck indoors. This is really, this sucks, man. I mean, I'm worried about my loved ones. I'm worried about my family. I quite frankly would like to go out. This is a big bummer. A lot of us don't know where our next paycheck is coming from, but this, just a moment of, come on. If you're not smiling right now, you got to check your pulse. See if you got to check your heartbeat. Make sure it's still there. This is adorable. It's a bat eating a banana. Thank you for sharing that, Joe. We needed it. And by the way, so for those of you who don't normally tune in, welcome to Get Your News On with Ron. I am Ron Placone. And, the other day I revisited a song that I hadn't listened to in a while. And I thought it was really appropriate for the quarantine and the pandemic. And it's called The President's Dead by a band called Ockerville River. And I looked at the comments in the song. Like, I just looked up the song on YouTube, and I just listened to it on YouTube. And I looked at the comments, and about half the comments were people saying that you found this song because of Get Your News On with Ron. And I felt really freaking great. And I hope all of you who listened to that song enjoyed it. And it made me feel really good. So happy Music Monday, first and foremost. And second of all, I'm going to start to try to be better about doing Song of the Day. I know we used to do that very, very militantly. And then I kind of got away from it. And I'm really going to try to get back to it. And I apologize for dropping the ball on that. It wasn't intentional. We'd get into the news, we'd talk about what's going on. And, we'd go off. But my song for the day today is a song that's, it's a very bittersweet song. It's a very angry song. But it's a song. I almost sounded like Trump there, didn't I? Like it's a bittersweet song. It's an angry song, but it's one of the best songs. I have all the best songs. But it's a song by a band called Alkaline Trio. I'm a big Alkaline Trio fan. They are an acquired taste, but they're a punk rock trio, originally out of Chicago, Illinois, and they kind of have a dark, macabre undertone in their pop punk music. And I've been a big fan of them for years, and still am a huge fan. And the song that I'm going to recommend today is a song called Cooking Wine. It's one of their older songs, and it's you can find it, just YouTube it, Alkaline Trio, Cooking Wine. It's one of their older tracks, but I feel like when you're stuck inside and you can't go out and things are crazy in the world at large, it's just an appropriate song. Sorry I'm late. I was out spoiling my liver and I couldn't wait. And I can't see straight, but the two of you look awfully pretty. If I close my eyes, I'm just tired enough that if I closed my eyes, I'd sleep for days. It's a powerful song. It's a cathartic song. It's a song where you just want to strum it out and you just want to sing it at the top of your lungs for freedom and catharsis, baby. Alkaline Trio, Cooking Wine. Check it out. See if it speaks to you. And I hope it does. I really hope it does. So that's the song of the day. Another thing I'm thinking about, and let me know in the chat right now what your thoughts are on this. I'll give you guys a few minutes because I know we got a lag here. I'm thinking about, instead of doing a weekly podcast where we just kind of do like a best of type summary of everything that we talked about, I'm thinking of making the podcast a daily thing where you just get the full stream in audio form. And we just put out a podcast every day. There's a stream. I feel like it wouldn't really be that big because to make the podcast actually takes me, it takes some time each day because I pick out which clip do I want to feature on the podcast, or clips, plural, which ones do I want to put there? And then I start building it throughout the week and then I do an intro for it. So it's not like I only do this. So it's like, I don't know if it would really change the workload. You know what I mean? Like in a way it'd be like, well, if I just take the stream and I'm like, so here's today's stream and, that's it. That's just the podcast. So I'm thinking about doing that because I know that some people maybe you're in the car. Like maybe you don't always get to catch this stream live. Now I know more people than typical are able to catch the stream live because we're all quarantined, but maybe you don't typically catch the stream live, but at your desk, you might be able to listen to it later, but you can't have YouTube up, but you can have a podcast in your headphones. Well, if I made the audio available, you could do it that way. Now, you'd miss out on the videos we watch and stuff like that. That's one of the things that the podcast has. But so I'm thinking about doing a daily podcast and, starting to do things that way. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think of that. Would that be helpful, especially for those of you who are new visitors today, who once we're not quarantined anymore, aren't going to be able to tune in as often? Would that be like, could you listen to the audio at work? I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. I'm just doing my thing the best I can. What's up, everybody? Robert Gilbert says, political vigilante was great last night. Thank you very much. We had a good time. Never enough TMI. Thank you, Robert. That was in reference to we started talking about toilet habits, I guess you would say, over on the Political Vigilante. It was Graham Elwood, myself, and Kim Iverson. And Kim was sharing some of the things she was taught in her youth. And it was a fun conversation. I got a kick out of it. It was a really good time. Thank you for saying that, Robert. Sparky says, common cold, also a coronavirus, causes pneumonia in elderly, killing millions each year, and no one cares. Coronavirus only difference, ? Sparky, I don't agree with that take, but that's your take, and I respect that, but I don't agree. Dude's Priest, what's up? Since Tulsi chose not to run for her House seat in 2020 and is highly likely not to win the nomination, what's the chances of her telling the DNC to pound sand in January and start a new party? Based on what I've heard her say in the past, 0. I mean, people can change their mind, and maybe she will. I have no idea. But Tulsi has been asked about a third party before. She has said no. Bernie has been asked about a third party before. He has said no. I believe Ro Khanna has been asked about a third party before. He has said no. So, a lot of the people in the electoral politics realm that do have the political acumen to lead a new party have said no. Why have they said no? I don't know exactly. I mean, they have a peek under the hood I'm not privy to. But they've all said no. So, I don't know. Well, will Tulsi Gabbard change her mind? Maybe. I don't know. Bernie Sanders? Maybe. I don't know. But I wouldn't count on that. I mean, we need a new third party, and we need a second party, basically. We need a second, like Ralph Nader has said for so many years. We need a second party. How it's going to happen? I couldn't tell you. I mean, I think we've talked about this last night on Political Vigilante. It's going to have a big movement behind it. People are going to have to be able to see it in their community. So it's going to have to coalesce with a movement. And that's something you don't necessarily need elected officials for, which is a good thing. But it needs to be a movement, and it needs to be a really big one. And right now, we don't have the numbers. So, yeah. Sparky goes on to say, epidemics, a scapegoat to hide the misdeeds of the same bankers. Do they get away again? Iceland had it right. I agree with you there. Iceland had it right. What Sparky's referring to, by the way, Iceland, they put their bankers in jail. When the bankers were doing misdeeds, where they were running up all these things that were more than the country's GDP because they were committing fraud, Iceland put them in jail. Obama said, let's look to the future. Obama didn't do anything and said, let's look to the future. Liz Warren wagged her finger at him, but nothing happened. And now they get trillions in bailout. Sparky, sounds like the intelligence community wrote the bill. No kidding. No kidding. Yeah, it does. Absolutely it does. Schultze, hope you had a wonderful wedding. Cheers. I did, and thank you for that. I had a wonderful wedding. We had so much fun. And I'm glad we got it in before all this went down. Because I mean, me and my wife were talking about that. We were like, if our wedding would have been the following weekend, we probably would have had to cancel it. Which is probably true. And that would have been a big bummer. You know, what's weird is that, so I got married last Sunday. For anyone not in the know, I got married last Sunday. It was amazing. I haven't put my wedding band on this morning, but yeah, I take it off to sleep now. Cause my wife told me I probably should. She does. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll take, I mean, yeah, I've never worn rings before. This is a new thing for me. I'm in my 30s. I've never worn rings before in my life. Now I wear 2 of them. I wear this ring that was my grandfather's, and I wear my wedding band. Because I don't know, that's what married people do. And you know, and she's like, you don't take them off to sleep? I'm like, no, I never, should I? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, okay. But anyway, had a great wedding. And what's weird, I was gonna say this, so it's like we got married a little over a week ago, which is like the beginning of a marriage, right? A wedding. It doesn't get more beginning than that when it comes to a marriage. And now we're in a situation where we're at home all the time, and a big highlight of our day is when we go for our walk. We go for a walk each day. They do recommend you get a little bit of sunlight, so it's not a bad thing to go for a walk each day. Just be careful, keep social distance. You're going to see other people walking around too. Kind of keep your distance. You can still kind of nod, you know, you can still be polite, but try to keep your distance the best you can. You know, that's what everyone's doing right now. So, you know, we're staying inside most of the time, cooking as much as we can, and the highlight of our day is going for a walk. It's like we're experiencing the beginning of our marriage and then like our golden years all in one week. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, are we going to go for a walk today? Yes, we need to get our steps in. And, you know, I look forward to things going back to normal, where I'm just, you know, a recently married dude again. But yeah, it feels like we're like going through our golden years now. At least we know, like, hey, it's going to be, the only difference is I feel like I'd be having a lot more trips to the library, and my library is closed. So I'm not having that. Libraries are closed. Los Angeles pretty much shut the city down. Pasadena, I feel like Pasadena is pretty much doing the same, although our mayor's on vacation. That's great. Danny, what's up, buddy? Tulsi looks so damn presidential right now. Give to Ron and all your favorite comedian and new podcasters to support their work. Thank you very much for that, Danny. Danny also says cancel the sanctions. Let's see. Sparky says that SARS is from bats. Also, maybe COVID-19. I don't know. I don't remember all the details on SARS either. I do remember something like it had something to do with bats, but I'm not necessarily, I'm not super well up on that stuff necessarily. I'm just taking the precautions I know we're all supposed to take. I'm keeping my hands clean, monitoring myself the best I can. You know, I get allergies this time of year. That's something that happens to me all the time, no matter what. It's also been raining here in California. So, you know, I had to clear my throat at the beginning of the stream. You guys heard that. So, you know, I'm a little worried. Like, is this just normal, or could this be something more? I don't know. That's why I'm holding my breath. I'm taking my temperature. I'm trying to make sure, you know, I don't have any actual coronavirus symptoms. I'm pretty sure it's just allergies. But, you know, I'm trying to be as careful as I can. Anyway, Alkaline Trio on Tony Hawk's video game says Martin Lazo. Really cool. That's awesome. We'll check out Cooking Wine. Again, song of the day, Cooking Wine by Alkaline Trio. Sparky, maybe closings will show that a colossal waste of time. What a colossal waste of time high school and college are. High school wasn't common until need to free up jobs during the Depression. I guess it depends on the person, Sparky. I don't think you can say that for everyone. I mean, me personally, going to college was one of the best things that's ever happened to me in my life. You know, but I know that's not for everyone. College is not for everyone. High school is not for everyone. Our education system is certainly not for everyone. You know, there's different strokes and different folks, different strokes, different folks. But, you know, everyone's different. But I see what you're saying in principle. Astrological vigilante rules, says Sparky. So we talked about astrology. We talked about astrology some last night, which I don't know much about. That's another thing where it's like, I know I'm the year of the rat, and I know that I'm a Sagittarius, and I know that I have a lot of Sagittarius tendencies. I like to travel. I'm a fire sign. What else do we do? There's a couple other things that like we're passionate supposedly, and I don't know. I mean, call me passionate, call me whatever you want. But anyway, M Mockable, what's up? Thanks for the super chat contribution. Hey Ron, love you, but agree with Sparky. Check with scientists about virus instead. I have no need to create fear. Worry about oldsters though, because I am one. Well, that's the thing. I mean, if you are a healthy person and you are not immune compromised and you are under 60, chances are if you get this thing, it's not going to be crazy severe. Now, there's been some cases where it has still been severe in young people, young, healthy people. But, in a lot of the cases we have right now, it's not necessarily that severe. The scarier thing for you is that you might unknowingly give it to someone who's more vulnerable, i.e. someone who is immune compromised or someone who is older. That's where it's deadlier. That's where it's a lot more scary. And there are a lot of unknowns right now. There are a lot of unknowns. Why? Because we don't have the testing available. We don't have the testing available that we were supposed to have. So there you go. That's what we're dealing with. And I think we had one more thing. Oh, geez. We have one more from Sparky. Let me see if I can get to it. YouTube does that thing where it cuts off the last comment. It's so freaking annoying. Did you learn your sense of humor in college? Maybe. I don't know. I started stand-up partially because there was a stand-up comedy club that started on campus, and I went to it out of curiosity. So, yeah, maybe. I don't know. I feel like sense of humor is something you just kind of like, you just kind of have or whatever. But yeah, I mean, college definitely helped me start stand-up. There's a good chance, had I not gone to college where I went to college, I would have never started stand-up. So I guess the answer to your question in many ways could be yes. You might unknowingly give it to an older person. Exactly, Sparky. Yeah, I feel you. Exactly. That's the fear. That's what you got to be very careful about. But yeah. Anyway, guys, so you know the drill. Right now, tour dates are one day at a time. As of right now, we're just going to wait and see. Nothing has been canceled yet because we're just waiting and seeing what happens at the end of the month. So Pittsburgh, I hope to see you on April 10th. I don't know at this point. Seattle, I hope to see April 24th. Portland, I hope to see April 25th. All of my tour dates are on at ronplacone.com. Most of those tour dates are with Graham Elwood, the political vigilante. And we're going to wait and see. I mean, I can tell you guys this because I know some of you, for those of you that have already bought tickets, you don't need to worry. If we have to cancel, of course, you will get refunds. Of course, everything will be given back. The drill. So you don't have to worry about that. So we'll wait and see. I mean, right now we're waiting and seeing. And that's all we can do. Stay safe out there. Stay safe out there. I mean it cold. Thank you, Sparky. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's crazy out there right now. I mean, I'm going to be streaming more. I'm going to be doing that because we all have more time inside. So I'm going to be streaming a lot more. I'm going to be having more guests. I think I'm going to try that daily podcast thing, see how it works out. It could become a permanent thing. What do you guys think of that? I didn't hear any of you guys comment on that. Let me know what you think. I'm curious. But anyway, so right now, one step at a time. Hey, if you are financially stable right now, and you do have a little bit of extra income and you want to throw $1 a month, patreon.com/ronplacone for Give What You Can level. You get all kinds of exclusive content. I'm going to be doing patrons only stream where I respond directly to the patrons. I only respond to the patrons during those streams, and the replay is only available on Patreon. I do that once a week. Typically, I'm going to be doing more of those though, since I'm going to be doing more streams in general. And that's patreon.com/ronplacone for Give What You Can level. You get that. You also get full stand-up clips not available anywhere else. You also get a bunch of podcasts not available anywhere else. You get my album for download in its entirety, not available anywhere else. You get dialogues between myself and my cat Lucy before they're illustrated. So guys, hey, we all need content to consume. For Give What You Can level, you can get my entire Patreon catalog, which has hundreds of things. available for Give What You Can level. No matter what you give, you get all the same stuff. Give What You Can level. Boom. How about that? Huh? Patreon.com/Ron Placone. If you are able. If you're not able, totally understand. It's a rough time. But yeah, there's a lot of unknowns right now for all of us. And it's a crazy time. Stay safe out there. Reconnect with someone. You know, make a list of things where you're like, this is something I'd like to do. That's one of the things that I've been doing. There's some scripts that I want to work on. Obviously, I'm going to be doing more streams. There's some longer term projects I want to do. Here's something else we did. So some of you guys know I do a webcomic with Lucy called Lucy and Ron, and it's illustrated by a guy named Chris, whose company is called Inks Pixels. And we've been doing Lucy and Ron for a long time. And we've just kind of been making these comics once a week. They're released every Saturday. Well, because we've had a little more time at home, we have finally archived them on Webtoons and on a website called Tapas, and you can see all the Lucy and Ron archives there. So we're trying to push Lucy and Ron a little bit harder. So go to lucyandron.com, check out Lucy and Ron. We're going to have a merch line for Lucy and Ron up soon. And you know, this comic has been a kind of pet project, pun intended. And we're hoping to push that more front and center. There's a lot of long-term things we want to do with Lucy and Ron. I'll be announcing more of that as time goes on. That rhymed. And we're doing that now, which is real exciting. So that's one of the things I'm doing. I want to Skype with my cousins more to get better at Italian. I want to do that. My cousins are over in Italy. They are also quarantined. Everyone's okay. We have regular contact. So far, everyone's okay. But it is escalating out there. And I know we're trying to take preventative measures so we don't wind up like Italy, although we might already be there. We don't know yet. We don't know because there's not testing available. We might already be in Italy's shoes. We don't know. Because we don't have an organized healthcare system at all. All right, guys, you know the drill. Lucy says meow. I say peace. Peace. I'll see you again really soon because we're going to be doing more of this. Peace.